First of all, for those of you who don't know me, which I'm hoping are not many today, a lot of friendly faces are in the room. I'm Angela Shelton. I am the CEO of Answers for Associations. We are a community of people who work in the association space. We have a very powerful network. We run lots of fantastic webinars like this. Everything we do is about showcasing the innovation and the best practices in the association space. And today I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, and I would like to pay my respects to their elders past and present, and now welcome you to our amazing guest who, look, honestly, I kind of want to say show of hands if you don't know who Julian Moore is. Julian's going to be walking you through a hands-on session on how to create your very own AI assistant using ChatGPT. We're on a countdown, Julian. I'm going to hand straight over to you. If anybody needs me, I'll be in the chat. Otherwise, over to you.
No worries. Thank you for that. And thank you to everyone joining us. I know we've got a few hundred people registered for today. Now, when we were talking about this and everyone was asking what they wanted for an AI assistant and how to build these, well, I figured what we would do is show the first step. So let's create our own custom GPT assistant, one that reads your files, one that can be updated from the web, that can use APIs across and can do all kinds of functions. So let's take a step back and really kick off to what it is what's possible. Over the last, I guess, year, 2 years, three, however it is, AI has developed. And right now, we are at a point where we're getting new tools that are PhD equivalent. So they're literally able to pass every PhD challenge or test or exam as long as it's on the computer in every topic. So when you're getting that level of knowledge, it's like, well, how do we use that? And an assistant is the perfect way. So we're seeing these get made for things, and I've got a list down here to refer to, but things like personal assistants, they're the obvious ones. But then product trainers, sales agents, just yesterday, one of my, and we've got some renovations going on, and one of the tradies was saying how his son is ADHD and he was not doing so well in school, and the tutors didn't understand all the requirements of an ADHD child, and he was suffering at school and struggling with homework. So we created a ADHD tutor for him that will know the kid's name and adapts its teaching to kids with ADHD and all the challenges that comes with. And it literally is tailored just to that kid. So he has an unlimited attention. It will always be present. It will never have any worries about patience or never get upset. It will answer all the questions just perfect for him. Then from there, we've got specifications, legislation reviewers, sponsorship proposal writers, CPD creators, event planners, golf swing analysis, fitness trainers. All of these are possible using the technique we're going to use today. And so let's jump into it. I'll share my screen and we'll go from there. Now, what I'm going to do is get that across there. And then if you have any questions as we go through this, don't hesitate to ask them, and I'll make sure I try and get to all of them. I'm just going to move some of the functionality things across. So do ask them in the Q&A, because then if I don't get to them, I'll get to them after the event and make sure we give you an answer to your questions. So let's jump in. The first thing is we have to decide what we're going to build. And I thought what I would do is come up with an association compliance GPT. The thing here is it's all the same process, and it's all the same. So whether you want to make a proposal writer and a chatbot, whatever you want to make, it's all the same process. Now, you'll see lots of different ways of doing this. The most common way you'll see is to go to GPTs, And then under the GPTs, it's like an app store. Now, keep in mind, AI is written by Californian computer scientists who know absolutely stuff all about marketing and name things really badly. Who would have a thing called GPT and then decide to call the custom GPTs the GPTs? Just awful. I mean, call it a bloody app store for heaven's sake. So what they do is the most common one is these are the ones that people have made and are using is to then go to create, and under create you can follow this guideline. What would you like to make? Ask me anything, and what you instruct here appears across here. Now, we're not going to use the most common way. Simply put, it's not, in my mind, it's not the best way. So what we're going to do is have it built for us by the AI. Now, what I want to do is build an association compliance GPT. So my idea is it was really to show that we can upload documents for reference, we can have it search websites and all that type of thing. So I want to build the association. It needs to have web capability. It needs to be able to monitor the Queensland government's legislation website or the federal government's legislation. It needs to be able to have documents uploaded to it. It needs to flag non-compliant areas, missing dispute resolutions, remuneration disclosures, outdated clauses, meaning minutes, insurance, committee structures, all the non-compliant side of things. And it has to output it in a board-friendly way and give nice summaries. So nice, straightforward. I thought if we use that as the demo, it works well. So now the first thing is we need to get a set of instructions from the AI to build this. Now, we do this simply by asking GPT to write them for us. So the first thing is to actually get the set of instructions. So what do we want? Now you're about to see a masterclass in terrible spelling and typing, but nothing I can do about that. I want to build a custom GPT for associations called Association Compliance GPT. All right, so, oh wow, only one word spelled wrong. So Association Compliance GPT. So the first thing you always do is tell it what you want to do. Now, once you've told it what you want to do, we have to give it context. We have to actually tell it how you want it to behave and how you want it to do the thing you want. So it needs to monitor the Queensland legislation website and ACNC website for updates. And if we say, and we can literally say things like the Association Incorporation Act. Now, that's its first thing. So now it needs to monitor these websites. So the next thing I'll do is I'll get the website. So this is the Queensland government's legislation, and it's the current in force legislation, all of it. I don't need to list a particular one. I don't need to list a particular year. This will literally read all of it. So I'm going to copy that. And now I'm going to paste that in. So it needs to monitor the Queensland legislation website. So I'll just put that in there. and the ACNC. There's the ACNC for compliance, and you can see all the related resources are here. And now I'll paste that in for updates, things like the Incorporation Act, etc. The next thing is it needs to then compare those updates against documents I upload, like Constitution, etc. And so it now means I'm telling it the documents that I'm going to upload as well. Then also I want it to tell me where, and actually tell me out of date or non-compliant. And now it's got the instructions. So I want to build a custom GPT for associations called Association Compliance. It needs to monitor the Queensland legislation. Here it is. The AC website. Here it is. For things like the Incorporation Act. I also want it to compare those updates against documents I upload. And I want it to tell me if there's anything out of date or non-compliant, that type of thing. So this could just as easily be, I want to create an association sponsorship writer, or I want to create an association newsletter writer. It needs to search Google for all the new updates relating to insert association. It needs to look at the documents I've uploaded prior for tone of voice, structure of previous newsletters. It needs to populate the current form and modify it so that it's ready to be posted out. And so now I have to actually tell it what I want it to do with all this information. So I want it to provide answers in a clear, board-friendly language. Let's say board-friendly language with the links needed for legislation. Now, the reason I say with the links, as we know, AI can make errors. So the last thing we want it to do is to write all this and without any way of checking that it's actually done the job. So if it puts the links in, we can click the links and make sure it's taking us to the right link, done the right inference on the right tasks for the right acts, and legislation's complex. So from there, how do I want it to act? Act like a helpful compliance officer, if there is such a thing, not a lawyer, because we want it to remove all the jargon. We want it to be useful for us. And then the most important line, no matter what you type in there and how you type it and what you ask it for, the most important line, can you write me the most comprehensive sets of instructions for this GPT? And then so I can copy and paste it into the builder. Now, by asking that, it now means that no matter how it produces it, it's going to produce it as the set of instructions that we can then use to create our tool. So essentially, tell it what you want to do. I want to do this. I want to build this tool. Tell it what you want the tool to do and how you want it to do it. And then tell it how you want it to output and act in the way. And then after that, you then tell it that you want it to create the set of instructions for you so that you can copy and paste into the builder. So now I've done that. That will then go off. And this is just in 4.0. So here's a full copy and paste instruction set. It's written to suit the builder. It prioritizes clarity, precision, alignment with your goals, and assumes no M dashes. I've got a thing with my AI. I'm trying to get rid of those long dashes. It does not want that. So the name, association compliance. Here's the instructions. You are a digital compliance officer designed to help Australians stay up to date. Your role is to monitor the updates. You are not a lawyer. You act like a smart, friendly compliance to spot issues early and explain them in plain English. Core functions: compare legislation to the uploaded documents, speaking board friendly, generate the summary. You see, by doing it this way, this generates a much better set of instructions. And we would never write these instructions this way. But of course, now we can simply copy the instructions. And now we've got the instructions. Anything that you want to change, like phrasing, if you want to change, you can change all of these. But we'll just take these instructions and now we go to GPTs and then we go to create. And under create, it will come up with this. It will come up with new GPT draft, create, configure, and then this is your sandpit. This is where you get to test what we've built. Go to configure, and this is behind the scenes. This is behind the wizard they give you. And here's your instructions. Does this GPT, what does this GPT do? So we can now just paste our instructions into there. And if you click these arrows, you'll now be able to see that it's all just gone into the instruction. And there it is. So now the instructions are in there. We now need to give it its name. So if I just copy that and give it a name, you'll just see this is how it starts appearing. The description, let's say a digital compliance officer. And you can put anything in there. Built by Julian at smsonline.net.au. So you can put anything you want in there. Now, so it's easy to find later on, we click here and you can upload your own photos. But in this case, I'm just going to have it create one. And because it's compliance, it's bound to be something boring in there. So it will now literally give ourselves our logo, and you can create any number of pictures you want. Oh my word, that is the dullest image ever. Conversation starters. So you can start here and it will give you as many, or here. So you can have any conversation starters you want. So upload your document, these types of things. And then here it has upload files. So the instructions are there. So name, description, instructions. Your conversation starters, then upload files. So if you're saying, I want you to reference this document as a template, for the newsletter writer, for instance, here's one I've made earlier. This is the reference document. Your output should always be like this: the tone of phrase, the format, the structure. So what I'm going to do now is on my desktop, I have a compliance. Where is my, I can see it here. 2014 company final. So this is a board constitution. So I'm going to upload the board constitution. And this uploads, you can put up to 10 documents in here. And of those documents, if you find you need more documents, just combine them, because you can put really big documents in. So just combine them into 10 uploads. You can now choose which model. So in this case, really, we're having it search webs and check compliance. The model we're using is the general 4.0 model, but you might decide that you want to do a very technical, a really technical sort of instruction set. And in that case, you might need reasoning. So if we're using something like an accounting tool, or we're creating anything like that, you want a reasoning model to make sure of accuracy. And that would be anything with an O in the front. They're the reasoning models. And anything with the number first, they're the non-reasoning. So once we've selected your model, make sure that code interpreter and data analysis is always switched on. I don't know why they turn them off, but it's the allow this to run code. When enabled, GPT can analyze data. With your uploaded files, generate downloadable files. So by turning this on, it means any of the output, you can say, give this to me as a Word document. Give this to me as an Excel document. Give this to me as a PDF. And it will give you that in the form. Amy's just asked, can the files be uploaded be used only by the GPT and not feedback to the, yeah. So absolutely anything you build here, when you go to save this, you can save this just for you. And it will not go into the wider world, will not be trained on. This is just a tool created for you. Or you can save it as anyone with a link, or you can put it into the App Store, and then it's obviously in the wider world. So now from here, let's a quick recap so that I know lots of people will be following on in the recording. Give it a name, give it a description, drop your instructions into there, any conversation starters, any knowledge you want it to know so it can actually go in and get that, and then tick the code interpreter. Well, now we've got our compliance GPT made. I'm just going to see if I can get a better image, because that's a terribly boring image. This should come up with something nice and colorful, fingers crossed. But, well, you know, we're live, so you're never quite sure exactly what it's going to do. No, it's not. There you go. Now, from here, that's our tool made. It now searches the websites we want searched, looking for the things we want. It's going to perform the tasks we want, and it's got the company constitution loaded up. If we want to, we don't have time for it to do a further action. Let's say you can see here, here's our create a new action. Let's say we want it to search our calendars. Let's say we want it to look at a website we have the login for and get an API. You can essentially go in and you can let your GPT retrieve information outside of GPT. So you get to choose whether you're using an API key or an authorization. You can import it directly from a URL, or you can get help. Just ask GPT and it will help you, and it will write the code for you for it to perform those other actions. So now we've got our tool, and we've actually got a decent image there. We're ready to go. So I'm going to click create, and now it's going to say only me, anyone with the link, or GPT stores. Patricia's asking, what are the conversation starters? Well, this tool may not be just for you. You might want it for your members. You might want it for your staff. You might want it for other people to use it. So essentially, the conversation starters are whatever you want them to be. So because this is a compliance, you could say drop your document here, and then that will be so the compliant these tools or conversation starters can be whatever you want them to be. They're simply prompts. So when people start using it, they see the starter. Now, let's just click create, and only me, anyone with the link GPT store. So I'm going to put anyone with the link and click save. And then once this is done, you'll see this will save, and then it'll tell you that it's GPT is published and it's ready to go. And now we can go view GPT. Here's our association compliance GPT. And now you'll see it sits here. So, and it will always sit here. It just sits in your GPTs. So essentially, once that's done, I can now, for instance, I can drop this in. This is the an old 2014 constitution that I'm safe to use. And when I hit that, it will now search its knowledge base. Thanks for uploading the Australian boarding schools, old constitution, I should make sure. Summary compliance, outdated references, the action it needs to do. Clauses that reference these are still active under the, severity is moderate. Recommendation, have a review. The governance disclosures, there's conflicts of inaction, cross-check with standard 5 to emphasize, and there's the standards. Member classes, voting rights, of course, this is an old constitution, so it's very out of date. Only school members may vote, action, they have no voting rights, severity is low, review the member structure. And anything I put in now will immediately be reviewed under Queensland legislation and the ACNC, and then it will give you a review date stamp. And I recommend contacting governance advisor, non-specialist lawyer for the board ready. And then you can say, write me the board update for this. And now it'll go off, and here's your board update. Prepared by the GPT, purpose of the review, key findings, positives, observations, next steps, and here's your summary. So with severity status. So now essentially I have a GPT that I can drop anything in, and it will go straight to the legislation. And as the legislation gets updated, so does my GPT, and it will give me a compliance output. So let's see if we've got some questions going on. The first one is, could you connect to Cloud Drive, like Google Drive, to search documents? And if so, I assume you'd want to keep it separate to critical files. Now, there's a couple of bits there. First off, if you're creating a GPT, it's a tool to do a job. Now, if you just want that GPT to search documents, then realistically, these days, there's now tools here where you can use connectors. And on these connectors, you can already search Google Drives, SharePoints, all that type of thing. And to put your connectors on, you would just go into your settings, into connectors, and then you choose which ones you want, and it will literally connect. So you can see my Google Drive, I can chat with it, I can do deep research, and I can do uploads, whereas my email is only working under deep research. So yeah, absolutely, you can connect your Google Drive, whole documents, whole drives into these sorts of things. JB asks, many of us have MS365 accounts. Now, which one? And because there's so many different types of these, and Copilot, which is approved by our employer to use. Can this be done on Copilot? Yes, it can be done on Copilot, but only if you have the right M365 Copilot account. So yes, you can create them pretty much the same way. If it's something you would like a full webinar on, we can absolutely do a Copilot creation one as well. Now, from there, is there any other? Oh, sorry, Michelle, I missed you. Uh, how will it update you on any changes that happen? Does it email you, or do you need to check it? So in this one, I actually only told it to check the legislation each time it updates, the legislation updates. But oh, sorry, each time I use it. But you can just say, I need you to update me. Or you can say, create a task. I need you to update me. I'm just going to take a copy of that. I need you to update me every time this updates. And now what it will do is ask us a question or create the task. So I didn't tell it how often. Searching the web, absolutely. Track updates on, it's built in. Here's how to set it up. So it will literally go to whichever you prefer. So you can have it create a task. And my tasks are the one that I have is every morning at 9 a.m. update me on any AI updates that happened overnight that I'm not aware of. And it sends me an email. And then I click the email and it takes me to here. Nikki's asked, if I have the do not train the model and I use someone else's GPT and they don't have train the model, does it train the usage? So I think I get you. Essentially, if you don't want your GPT to train on or share any information, you go to data and you turn off improve the model. That stops it training on your information and makes it secure. And what you're asking is, if we use a GPT from here, like astrology birth chart GPT by whoever made it, and they're sharing this, is it still secure? Yes, it is. Because what happens is, I'm going to kick myself for using this one. I know this is going to come back and bite me, but here's the astrology birth chart. So if I go 10th of April, 1973, that will now do whatever it is. It's going to generate me an accurate birth chart. However, did you see where it goes? So even though I'm using the tool, my information creates a new chat. So it's perfectly secure. All the information sits in here. So absolutely safe to use. Brendan says, thanks again for another useful. Sorry, I have to jump off, another commitment. No worries, Brendan. So with that, I've overrun by 4 minutes already. Thank you so much to everyone for joining me. Do text me or tag me in anything you build. Do show me. I love to see what you build and these sorts of things. We'll send through a step-by-step instruction. And what I've also done is I had a client say, how do I get hold of you whenever I need you? So, well, I created a virtual version of me, ask me anything or email me here, and you can just type the question. So we'll send this link to everyone. So if you have any questions while you're building your own and you're a bit stuck, just ask Virtual Jules and he'll answer you straight away. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.